Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. This time we're going to be doing a complete episode ranking of all Avatar The Last Airbender episodes on Tier Maker, as you can see here. I was just going to do season by season, but I figured what the heck, I'm just going to do the whole thing in one video here. So I'm going to be going, I'm not going to spend too much time on each episode. I have not watched this super recently, but I'm very familiar with the show. I've seen the show all the way through probably at least 6 or 7 times, and then there's several episodes that I've seen even way more than that. So I'm very familiar with the show. I just have not watched it all the way through in probably a year or two. So some of these I won't remember like scene by scene, but like just my general thoughts on the episode I will remember. But yeah, so this could, if I had just rewatched this could be slightly different, but it probably would be pretty much the same. So we're gonna start with the boy in the. So that's another thing. I didn't even think about this till I started. For two parters, I don't know if I'll rank them differently or not. But for now, we'll see as we go. The boy and the iceberg. A. I think it's a solid beginning. Kind of sets up all the characters. Again, I'm not going to review every single episode here, but I think it's a solid start. But I feel like you kind of need the Avatar Returns, even though it's technically not a two-parter. I don't think you kind of need the Avatar Returns. I'm gonna put that in A as well. I feel like these you kind of need these to go together to get like the complete beginning of the story. But yeah, the Southern Air Temple. This is one I always enjoy. A or B, A or B. You know what? I kind of would put this in A too. I feel like I'm gonna be putting too many in A though. You know what? I think the first three episodes are pretty solid, honestly. And this has like the whole like him seeing the statues and learning all that, and like going Avatar State, pulling him back down, Zuko fighting the general, Iroh being Iroh. You know what? It's pretty solid. The Warriors of Kyoshi. I've never been a huge fan of this episode, but it does introduce the Kyoshi Warriors. It does introduce Suki. I'm thinking B or C. Um, I don't even know if anything's even go in D because the show is so good. There's not really any bad episodes, but I kind of would probably put it in B. You know what? I might just get rid of D because I don't think I'm going to be putting anything in D. So, well, okay, I'll just use D as like the my least favorite episodes. But D relative to other shows, like a D Avatar episode is still better than most other animated shows. I'll just put it that way. Okay, King of Umashu. I actually don't like this episode, even though I just said there's not any episodes I don't like. This is one of my least favorite episodes, actually. But see, I don't. I feel like putting it in D is doing it a disservice because I still like. I don't. It's not like I skip it. Like, fine. I'll put it in D. This could change. I might get rid of D as we go. Imprisoned. Honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest. This episode is a little. I feel like saying forgettable is kind of harsh, but it doesn't really do a whole lot for me. This is like a C episode. So this is one where there's not really anything I dislike in it or anything I think's wrong with it. I'm just not super into the episode. Where this one, I actually, it's one of the ones where I'm not a huge fan of. I'm gonna see. Do I rank these separately? I'll rank these separately. Whatever. The Spirit World Winter Solstice. This is another one I'm not a huge fan of. I'd probably put this in like B or C. C again. I'm not gonna be like doing an in-depth synopsis on each episode. I'm assuming if you've watched this, you're a fan of the show or have seen the show at least. Um, for now, I'll put it in C. Uh, well, I'll put it in B. I'll put it in B. I think it's a good episode. It's just it's not really one I'd revisit unless I'm doing a whole rewatch. But then again, I don't rewatch a lot of these unless I'm doing a whole rewatch. So that's kind of a moot point. Uh, this episode right here. So this is the one where like I think I might put it in S. I'll put it in S. I'll put it in S. I love the Roku thing at the end because I think the first half of the episode is like an A, but the second half of the episode is like an S. But I'll put it in S. I really do like this episode. The waterbending scroll. From what I remember, this is also not one of my favorites. Okay, so this might actually be a nice fluctuating list. I just realized this is gonna get long. Um, Hopefully it stays on the screen without how many episodes there are. Waterbending scroll. This is the one with the pirates, right? You know what? You know what? B. I do like that episode. Jet. This is an episode I don't really care for at all. That'd be C. I like it a little more than the King of Imashu though. Again, I feel like King of Imashu should just go in C. I don't know. I don't know. I should have thought about this more before I started, but I wanted my fresh reactions to like my thoughts on the episodes. I didn't really want to like, because there's no, I feel like it wouldn't make for as good of a video if I just did this whole thing already and then made the video knowing where I'm gonna put everything. The Great Divide, D. Yeah, it's kind of one of the most forgettable episodes, worst episodes. But again, The Great Divide, it's still I can still watch it. It's a decent time. Like I don't like hate it or anything. But it is definitely one of the weakest episodes of all of Avatar. The Storm, I'm not even gonna kid you guys. Again, and I'm not really gonna be ordering these like, oh, this is better than this one, so I'm gonna put it here. I'm just gonna rank them. The Storm, one of the best episodes of the whole show. This is when most people, including me, like started really taking the show more serious. Well, I say that in hindsight, like I was a kid when I first watched it, but I even as a kid, I remember thinking, oh shit, like this is getting serious. Yeah, Storm. Blue Spirit. I also really like this episode. I'm gonna put it in A. I don't think it's quite deserves S. Maybe like a very light S, but I do really enjoy that. Some revelations in there. The Fortune Teller. This is the one with the clouds and the old lady reading the clouds and all that. I think I like that episode enough. A B. I do like the whole volcano thing and like trying to stop the volcano and destiny and all that jazz. Bato of the Water Tribe. I don't think I'm really a big fan of this episode. This is the one where they go on like the Bato obviously comes in and they gotta go on like the boat ride and go through the rocks and all that. I'll probably put that in C. The Deserter. This I feel like I always liked this episode more than a lot of people. I would actually put this in like A, maybe like a very high B, but I'm gonna put it in A. I actually really like this episode. Um, for multiple reasons, but like I love the whole dynamic between like not wanting to teach them, then teaching them, and so kind of the first time you get to see like Fire really from not a villain perspective, if that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot I love about that episode. Northern Air Temple. This is the one with those damn people destroying the temple. A or B, because I think the episode's like a B, but I think the last like battle scene thing's pretty cool. But I would still probably leave it at B. Waterbending Master. Now we're getting into the finale here, basically. I know the next two are technically the finale, but this will go in A. It's pretty story focused. I like seeing the southern water or the northern water tribe and UA. UA is her name, right? I hope I'm not getting her name wrong. That turns into the moon and all that. Yeah, A. The Siege. I'm probably gonna put all the finales up here, honestly. I think these two episodes are great. The whole thing with Iroh and the fish and like the blocking out the moon and like just every time Iroh says like I'll unleash on you tenfold, like it gives me chills. So yeah, that's season one. I think that's honestly it's a lot more even than I thought it would be. But yeah, let's not waste any time. Let's move on to season two, Avatar State. This is a solid episode. I'm thinking A or B. I'll put it in. Well, I'm trying. What other ones did I put in A? Yeah, you know what? I'll put it in B. I'm not. Like I like the episode, but it doesn't do great amount of things for me. The Cave of Two Lovers. Two Lovers. I'd also put this in B. I do quite like the episode. The damn hippies song is hilarious. Getting to see a little bit more of Katara Aang connection and just the whole like Cave of Two Lovers story with Omashu. Yeah, I put it in B. Return to Omashu. This is another episode. I'll put this one in B as well. I do like the episode quite a bit, but again, it's not like one of my favorites or anything. But yeah, it's got some cool action. I think you get to see what is it, Ty Lee and May fight and Azula and all that. So yeah. Oh, actually, you know what? I forgot. The Avatar State has that Azula on the boat. I might bump that up to A. You know what? I'm gonna bump it up to A. I'm gonna bump it up to A. And then Iroh and catching Azula's lightning or whatever. I remember. I remember. The swamp. I'm gonna put this in C. I'm not a huge fan of this episode. It doesn't do a whole lot for me. Avatar Day. I also don't really like this episode. I don't see. I feel bad putting stuff in D, but again, it's relative to the show. Like a D of Avatar, I'd still rather watch this Avatar episode than most other animated shows. Or what? Well, not necessarily would rather watch, but you guys get what I'm saying. Like even D for this show is above a lot of, especially new animated shows, newer ones that are out today. The Blind Bandit. I'll put this in B. I'm not a huge fan of the episode, but it does kind of introduce. Technically, yeah, it introduces Toph. I was gonna say she was kind of in the swamp episode, but not really. Blind Bandit's got the whole wrestling thing. You know, it's a good episode. Zuko alone. This is one of my favorites. But does it go in A or S? The flashbacks are gonna bump it into an S. I really like seeing the flashbacks. The chase. I'll put this in A because I think that whole chase part of the episode is fine. I like it. It's entertaining, but the ending, where they're all like doing that whole standoff and fighting at the end, really. If it wasn't for that, it'd probably be a B episode. But because of that, it bumps it up to A. Almost into an S, but not quite. Bitter Work. I'll put this in B. It's kind of like a training episode. Not a ton happens from what I remember, anyways. So yeah, the library in the desert. The library and the desert. Never been a huge fan of those library episodes. I'd probably put those in like B. The desert. This is the one where they're looking for Appa, right? Yeah, because the library. For some reason, I thought that whole two-parter was. Is this counting the library as 2 episodes? For some reason, I feel like. I don't know. Because the desert where they're looking for him, was that library really only 1 episode? Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Anyways, the desert, this is where they're looking for Appa, right? And then they find the sandbenders, blah, blah, blah. I'd probably also put that in B, honestly. Serpent's Pass and the Drill. I remember those being a two-parter, right? Okay, I'll do them separately. Serpent's Pass. Honestly, not a huge fan of this episode. Probably put it in like C. The Drill. The drill. This is where they're fighting the drill. I'll put that in A. It's there's a lot of stuff I like about it. A lot of good action. I kind of like infiltrating the drill, coming up with all that. You get to see more Azula. They're finally at Ba Sing Se. It's got a lot going for it. I'll put it in A. Cities of Walls and Secrets. This is the one where they finally get to Ba Sing Se. They're learning about the place, trying to find Appa. I'll do a B for that. Tales of Ba Sing Se. B or A? B or A? The Iroh one is. I don't think I really need to say much more about that. And I do like the Sokka one and Zuko one. I just don't. Does it go in A? I'll put it in A. I really like the idea of the tales, like doing a different thing for each person. Appa's Lost Days. I'll put this in B. It's kind of just Appa going around seeing what happened to him. I still like the episode. I need to go through these a little bit quicker. Lake Laogai. This is the one they finally get to the lake. I'll put this in A because I do like this episode quite a bit. Because this is the one with like Jet dying and all that stuff, and finding Appa, Zuko letting Appa go, and all that stuff. So, Earth King. What the heck? Why is this doing this? Oh, that was weird. The Earth King. I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember exactly what happens. Oh, this is the one where they burst into the thing and they go up the. They're going to the Earth Kingdom's, whatever you call it, the palace. To get the Earth King, showing him all the stuff. Showing him like Laogai. They finally reveal that the one guy's bad. They arrest him. Okay. B. The Guru. So this is the episode. I'm gonna put this in A. This is kind of him just learning his chakras and going up in the cosmic thing and realizing all that. And then the actual finale, I'm gonna put in S. Great finale. It's kind of like the Empire Strikes Back of the Avatar. Also, the show is kind of structured because the first season's kind of like A New Hope, where it's you can see it continuing, but it's kind of a little bit standalone, but it's really good. And then the second part is like the dark one that ends kind of dark and blah blah blah. Heroes are every. You guys get what I'm saying. Um, season 3, The Awakening. So these next 5 episodes are probably the ones I'm most familiar with, to be honest. Just because I had as a kid, I remember always seeing at a Kmart near where I lived. It was like probably like a 5 to 10 minute bike ride. But I used to always walk too. It'd be like a 20-30 minute walk over to the Kmart, which kind of seems like a long time now for me to walk, but like back in the day as a kid, 20-minute walk's not that bad. Anyways, I'm getting off track. And I'd always see Avatar DVDs. I was a big fan of the show. I'd always see Avatar DVDs. The new ones would always come out. They'd have some of the old ones a little bit cheaper usually. But I was like, I want to get an Avatar DVD so I can watch it instead of waiting for it to come on Nickelodeon or whatever. And I would tape some of it. I think from if I remember, I used to tape on VHS, but I wanted like the actual DVD. So I saved up and I finally got one. And the one I picked was, I believe this might have been the most current one, or maybe there was like one more out after this because they used to come in volumes. And it was season 3 volume. I actually have it. I still have the DVD. Um, it's the first 5 episodes of season 3 or volume 3. So, and I used to just put it on when I went to bed, so I'd get through like the first 2 episodes and I'd fall asleep. But I've seen the whole thing a lot too. But anyways, that was a big huge tangent. Let's just keep going. The Awakening. I actually really like this episode a lot. I'm gonna put it in A. I love the whole. I might put this in S actually. I think it's a really good opening. Low key. I'm putting The Awakening in S. I love the whole thing with him, like look at him on the boat. Like it just feels more mature. The storytelling, like just the way it ends with him putting the thing in the volcano and Roku showing up and um her UA and all that stuff. Yeah, Headband, solid episode. It feels a little fillery, but I'll put it in B. The Painted Lady. This is an episode I've actually never really liked. I'm gonna put this in D. I'm just not a huge fan of it. It doesn't work a whole lot for me. It doesn't really do too much for me. Sokka's Master. Again, I'm actually not a huge fan of this episode either. I just went on a whole spiel saying I've seen this so many times, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're my favorite episodes. Sokka's Master. I kind of want to put it in A actually. That's a solid episode. You know what? I'm gonna leave it in B. The Beach definitely goes in either A or S. Um, I'm gonna put it in A honestly. I do like the episode quite a bit, but I don't think it's quite S territory. But I do like seeing an episode from the villain's perspective and kind of seeing them more humanized and when they're not, and it does really remind you that they're all really young. Avatar: The Fire Lord, immediate S. This is probably like one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. Even though it's barely focused on Aang or anything, it's all flashbacks mostly. But definitely S. Love this episode to death. Just puts the whole show in a different perspective. Gives you so much lore. The revelation about them being related. The whole thing. The Runaway. I'm gonna put this in B. Excuse me. I do like this episode, but again, not one of my favorites. Don't really have too much to say about it. Puppet Master is gonna go in A. I like this episode quite a bit. Really spooky. Learn about blood bending. Solid A. I wouldn't necessarily put it in S. I feel like the plot. Yeah, just I don't know. Just didn't quite reach S for me. Nightmares and Daydreams. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of this episode. Either B or C. I'll put it in C. Yeah, just not a huge fan of that episode. What is this? It's the Day of Black Sun, Part 1 and Part 2. These are kind of one episode in my head, so I might just rank these. Well, I've been ranking all the other ones separately. I'll just rank them separately. The invasion. This is them getting ready for the invasion, where he kisses Katara, flies off, them going underwater. That'd be like an A. And then Part 2 would also kind of be an A. I kind of want to put it in S, but didn't quite hit that high for me, those 2 episodes, so I'll just leave them at A. The Western Air Temple, I quite like this episode. I'm gonna put that in A. Where Zuko trying to join them, get a little bit of flashbacks with him and Iroh. The Spark Sprocket Boom Man or Combustion Man or whatever attacking. I'll put that in A. I do like that episode. This one feels a lot more like continuous. Like, I mean, most of the episodes feel like that, but for some reason, this one always stood out as like it feels like just a continuation of like just straight plot. Basically, there's not a whole lot of like filler stuff, even though most of these episodes don't have much filler. But yeah, Firebending Masters. Oh, this is the one where Zuko needs to get his firebending back. I'll put that in B. I do like it, but not one of my favorites. The Boiling Rock Part 1 and Part 2. These I have to rank as one thing because they're really, this is really like one episode. And I put those in A. Really like the fight at the end with like the villain trio of Zula and Ty Lee and May. And all that, and it's just a fun like prison escape rescue person thing. Southern Raiders. I'll put this in A as well. I really like this episode. Cool to see a Katara-centric episode. I think this is one of her best performances, the voice actress in the whole show, is this episode. So do love that. Yeah, I actually might put that in S. I feel like this episode always feels like it's like just flies by. You know what? I'm gonna put that in S. I quite like that episode. Ember Island Players. I'll put in B. I do like this episode. It's fun to just kind of see basically like a recap of the whole show in a cool, interesting way, and it does make fun of itself. There's some jokes in there that make fun of like the Great Divide and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd say a B. And then we have the finale. So do I rank these separately? I guess so. The Phoenix King. This is kind of one with them starting on the island. This is basically one long movie, so it's kind of hard to rank it. Well, like okay, I'm just gonna go like this. Boom. I don't know if you guys can even see this. Boom. 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 S. So I pretty much think they're all S. The weakest one for me is probably the second one, maybe. But I might put the second one in A, but that just feels weird, so I'm just gonna put them all in S. Because 3 and 4 are definite S's, and the first one is probably an S. I just love how it starts. It just feels like a. I remember when it was coming out, they did like the countdown to the comet. I remember just waiting on like Nickelodeon, and it would be like they think they did like a really like constantly advertising the finale, and it was like yeah, I just remember that whole thing. Like, so it's also very nostalgic for me, and it just feels like summer. Like, even when I'm watching it in the winter, it floods me with all those memories of like when I was watching. It just feels like summer. Like, waiting for it. Like I can just picture. Like I can feel myself back then. Like it's almost like I'm transported back into my body back then. If that makes any sense. Like it's just very very vivid memories every time I watch the finale, or like especially if I look up like the advertisements, like the countdown to the comet, and like I remember like the countdown, like Sozin's Comet or whatever. Anywho, that's my ranking for the Avatar episodes. I will scroll down just so you can see. So this is S, A, B. Oh, I just realized you probably couldn't see C down here. I'm not going to re-record this. I think it was cutting off C and D, but yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I was up here originally, so maybe it wasn't cutting off. Anyway, I'm not going to do some long outro. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.